Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series with me, Kevin Britz, leading the charge and insights with information and ultimately effective results. Joining today's marketing and leadership segment, marketing and communications expert and co-host Craig Paisley. How are you doing, Craig?
Yeah, Kevin, great. Good to be chatting again. I hope you had a great week so far and that you got to enjoy and experience some great delights on our Heritage Day in South Africa.
I did. I was actually lying next to the pool while I was trying to read, but I then started doing gardening because I just love gardening.
Wonderful. Yeah, if you're out and about.
And I was like, do that, and then I'm like lying down. I can't do that, and so it was. And I was moving rocks eventually. I was going, what the hell? Like, you don't just like sit down and shut up and don't move. Stop moving. Like, just like chill out. Did you have a good one?
Yeah, look, I worked, caught up on a couple of projects that I needed to get through and things like that. But it was great to spend some time on social media, some beautiful celebratory messages being shared and posted and things like that, and just incredible traditional outfits in some of the regions. So, yeah, really appreciated that. But nice to have a break in the middle of the week.
And I must just say, not that I'm allowed to speak about it, but I have just recently done some more voiceover work.
Yes, I'm excited to hear when that comes to life. Well, yeah, when it's broadcast.
I'll speak more about it as it comes up, but yeah, that's going to be quite interesting and it's going to be very unexpected. So I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. And I see that you're wearing some new eyewear.
I am, yes. I've officially got to that stage, Craig. I've crossed over to the blind side, and I look like my mother. You know, like every time I look at my phone, it's like at like a 20 centimeter further distance than usually my arm. And I'm like, damn, okay. We've got to that stage of our lives, but it's part of getting older, and I'm trying to do it as in my stride as possible.
Good one.
Great. So last we had a really nice conversation, but don't you want to just give our listeners a bit of a catch up of what last week was about?
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. So last week we reviewed a report from McKinsey.com titled "What Employees Say Matters Most to Motivate Performance." So a really important topic. And the report covered findings from a survey of over 1,000 employees and provided a really great, rich data-backed view of what actually motivates employees to perform. The report was published as recently as August 2024 and was produced by a cohort of contributors from McKinsey's People and Performance practice. And the report noted 5 important points which really one needs to review in perfecting performance management. And as a reminder, these points are noted as follows, Kevin. The first point is, as organizations consider the approaches across the four performance management pillars, these being goal setting, performance reviews, ongoing feedback and rewards, a consistent and clearly articulated performance management framework wins the day. Point 2 is that goal setting has impact when goals are measured and clearly linked to company priorities. Point 3 is performance reviews with skilled managers are crucial to employee performance, probably one of the most important points of the article for me. Point 5 is investment in manager training to foster meaningful development discussions pays dividends, a real good couple to point 3 there. And then the final point was rewards that include non-financial incentives really do provide a boost, Kevin. And the report closed with an important statement that reads as follows. Economic volatility and shifting workplace norms have sparked many employers' renewed interest in creating the right performance management formula. Our survey suggests that cohesive overall design and effective execution are the most important focus points. As organizations consider the approaches across those 4 performance management pillars, again, goal setting, performance reviews, ongoing feedback and rewards, we urge them to pay close attention to the what and the how to motivate and inspire employees.
Amazing, yeah. Guys, so if you want to check this out, a really good conversation, and it's a conversation where we thoroughly unpacked the importance of working with employees and getting them motivated, inspired. If you want to check it out, go check it out on the Lunchtime series. And yeah, it's available on YouTube and all your major podcast channels. But Craig, so what do we have in store for today's conversation?
Yeah, Kevin, I suggested last week in our chat that we revisit the topic of the importance of the middle management layers. We haven't really addressed this since coming out of COVID. And you'll recall that remote work as a direct result of the pandemic really played heavily on the importance and effectiveness of the middle management layer at that point in time. And we noted from last week's conversation that middle managers are, I believe it's a good thing, are again playing an important role in nurturing, motivating, and leading employees to improve their performance within their respective organizations. And I therefore want us to focus on this topic today and just have a look at how it shifted from 3 years ago and where the sort of the future focus is. And there are a number of really some great articles that I came across, but I do want to focus on one key article in today's conversation.
Craig, I'm glad that we're covering this because I think last time we spoke about middle management, I referenced the point that what we don't realize about middle management is that they're the ones dealing with humans the whole time. So
yes.
Trying to level out senior management and middle management so that they can collaborate better. So, the senior managers speak to, what needs to happen. Middle managers speak to how to implement. And I think because that implementation part is unbelievably important. And if they get it wrong, it trickles down into, sometimes quite disastrous effects. Essentially.
Absolutely.
It's so important.
Yeah, very much so. So just firstly, I'm still a bit bunged, so a little bit tongue-tied and nasally at times in the conversation. But to start off with, I like to set context and let's just have a look at the term middle management here, Kevin. So according to good old Wikipedia, middle management is the intermediate management level of a hierarchical organization that is subordinate to the executive management and responsible for team leading line managers or specialist line managers. So, the ham and the sandwich almost. Middle management is indirectly, through line management, responsible for junior staff performance and productivity. So you can see the link to last week's conversation. Unlike management, middle management is considered to be a senior or semi-executive position, as middle managers are authorized to speak and act on behalf of the organization to line managers, junior staff, and customers. Included in this level of management are division, plant, and departmental managers, Kevin. Looking at one more definition, this time from the Collins Dictionary, we note that middle management refers to managers who are below the top level of management and who are responsible for controlling and running an organization rather than making decisions about how it operates. And that was quite an interesting definition for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Craig. And, that's why I'm keen to see that. And I like the analogy, the ham between the sandwich, because that's exactly what it is.
Great. So let's get into the core of the conversation. As I note, we're going to focus on one particular report today, influenced by a whole lot of others. But this particular report I came across on entrepreneur.com, and it's titled, "Don't Neglect Your Middle Managers. Here's why they are key to your company's success." The report was published on the 14th of November, 2023, and the article was written by Ian White and edited by Chelsea Brown. And in essence, the report covers 4 key focus areas, Kevin. Firstly, middle managers drive company success. Secondly, the challenge of middle managers. Thirdly, how to support your middle managers and set them up for success. And then the fourth focus area is how to measure the impact of middle managers.
Craig, I mean, what I'm quite interested in, especially in this conversation, is the actual functionality of middle management, because they almost become the workhorses, they also are treated like the workhorses, but yet they play a vital, important function within an organization. So it's nice to unpack. So tell us what the function of a middle manager is, Craig.
Yeah, that's a good point you raised, Kevin. They really are at the front end of all the pressure and alignment of the organization. So picking up on some of the wiki stuff again, I noted that the middle manager function is the link between senior management and lower levels of the organization due to that involvement in the day-to-day running of the business, Kevin. And here it's about them having the opportunity to report valuable information and suggestions from within an organization. So being in the mix, they're actually able to aggregate that information and feed it back into the senior management layer. They're also in charge of implementing the guidelines established in any of the strategic planning sessions by top level managers, and they're the key channel of communication within the organization, probably one of the most important facets and aspects of this conversation. They also feed major executive decisions and the main goals of the organization into the business and to the lower level employees. And obviously this has the benefit of leading to a much better cohesive organization and bringing better coordination between workers, Kevin. And the primary responsibility for, or at least of middle management here is to implement the strategies created by the exec team in the most efficient and effective way with all levels of staff.
Great, but don't you think maybe the name should change, right? maybe you know, and I'm only just like thinking about some of the current organizations I work with that, you know, they're not senior, they're not junior, they're kind of smack bang in the middle, but yet they're the workhorses of the organization. So maybe, you know, just considering, you know, from the impact that they have and the responsibility that they have with implementing the human approach and being the conduit between strategy and thought process and outcomes, and instilling that into humans. Maybe they should be human managers and not middle managers.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, and in a way, middle management is almost disingenuous to the actual role and function they have in an organization. Because whilst the term positions them fairly and clearly in the realm of organizational structure, the impact and the duties that they deliver are much more important than what the title portrays. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah.
Kevin, yeah, key functions also include some technical, human resource, and strategic functions. And I just want to have a look at those three in a bit more detail because they really define different aspects of input into organizational wholeness. Technical functions, yeah, the middle managers are responsible for facilitating any necessary changes within an organization and creating an effective working environment. And in essence, they oversee daily routines, monitor performance, again, the performance link, and ensure that everything is done in compliance with the organization's needs. And you can see the compliance is definitely a pure play technical link there. Human resource functions, obviously one of the most important functions of a middle manager is motivating, leading, and inspiring subordinates. And this also includes building teams and supporting any members in the individual capacity where necessary. And then most importantly, yeah, of the three is the strategic function. This involves analyzing subordinate groups in terms of their productivity and financial effectiveness, and then creating a strategy of improving the current situation and reporting these to executive management in the form of attending board meetings or other structural discussions that are set in place.
So, I mean, Craig, if we go back to the article, how do middle managers drive company success? Because, I mean, if you listen to all of this,
yes,
a number of factors that's required and that's impacting.
And it also highlights the broad responsibility that they have in an organization, Kevin. So, yeah, this point is addressed in the first few paragraphs of the article, which read as follows. Middle managers play a crucial role in an organization's people operations as intermediate level employees, connecting the gaps between the upper level executives and the frontline staff. And as the bridge between the company's strategic vision and the actionable plans, middle managers are key to ensuring that these initiatives get executed. Yet organizations often neglect the middle managers, and that's very much a top-down approach. Corporate restructuring can view these leaders as a bureaucratic layer to eliminate when cutting costs, and this is a big risk, and we saw that coming out the back of the COVID pandemic. But this approach is a mistake, as good managers drive company success, and organizations that successfully promote promising people into middle management definitely generate higher team performance, Kevin. The article also noted a Gallup study, which again is a direct link back to COVID, and we note this. Managers are responsible for 70% of the variance in team engagement, meaning the individual approach significantly impacts team performance. And the way managers lead and interact with teams has a substantial influence, more than anything else, on team engagement and performance. And in short, Kevin, middle managers are really key to success, and it ties directly back to the performance aspect that we addressed last week.
They're responsible for up to 70% of various in team engagement, right?
Yes.
Variance, at least. And again, it just points to the fact that, I'm just being devil's advocate here, because so many times you find that people in middle management that have never been on any leadership program, they've never been on any, they put up their hand, and because they did a good job as one of the team leads or one of the agents or one of the sales staff, or, in a lower position in the organization, they were just considered as, I think you should be a middle manager because X, Y, and Z. But yet you can see 70% of the variation of the impacts on team performance, through middle management. It's a really interesting stat to realize.
And that's why point one is so important. They are the drivers of company success.
Yeah.
But then moving to point two, Kevin.
So what are the challenges that middle managers face? Because I can give you a few as well.
And you probably see more and more and more as the evolution of businesses is adapting to the AI and technology-led organizations. But Kevin, on this point, the article notes that middle managers really battle many obstacles to keep the company running smoothly, and they definitely caught between the politics of the organization, between different departments and teams, and they're really required to manage and eliminate diversity and conflict and ensure that there's fair and equitable productivity across the business. And as the primary hands-on, problem solver in the business, they seek approval and support from all levels and all departments within the organization, really putting them under pressure to build those strong relationships with people across various roles, departments, and levels in the business, just to get things done, Kevin. Middle managers also have to make difficult decisions, even ones that they may not agree with or feel actually align with their team or company's best interests. And this really is the big challenge that many organizations face, particularly when they haven't nurtured, trained, and put some leadership intervention in place for middle managers to make these heavy decisions, Kevin. They also face intense pressure, leading to elevated levels of stress and anxiety, especially when there's perceived lack of support and recognition, and obviously lack of training, Kevin. The demanding nature of their positions often leads to a sense of being pulled in multiple directions, and making it quite challenging for managers, these middle managers, to actually balance their team's needs with organizational objectives and outputs. And a recent survey found that a record of 43% of middle managers reported experiencing burnout, which obviously results in severe health issues, reduced productivity, and increased turnover of staff, which then negates the entire principle of driving company performance, Kevin. But going back to my earlier point that the middle management layer was under huge threat during the COVID pandemic, the article actually reiterates this in the following paragraph. Many companies, including Meta and Spotify, eliminated middle managers in bulk during layoffs, raising doubts about the importance of middle management. In 2022, middle management jobs in the United States declined by 4.4%, the largest decline in middle management jobs since the Great Recession. So if companies want to succeed, Kevin, they really have to invest in building that middle management layer.
Yeah, in certain segments of work, especially in the realm that I specifically delve into, and Craig, from an employee brand and benefits perspective, this.
Yes, very much so.
The middle management layer is very often, it's almost they're just taken for granted to a large degree, and they're just expected to show up in a way. And it's it's true. I work with middle managers currently, and many of them are just at their wits' end. They burnt out. They don't know how to fix that. It leads to mental health issues. It leads to unhealthy environments. It leads to having a manager who's completely reactive on everything, right? So you kind of go, okay, so what's the problem? Well, the problem is they don't have enough support. They don't have enough, well-being, mental well-being. So it's a huge problem, and a lot more must be invested in the segment of an organization.
Yes, very much so.
What can organizations do to support the middle managers and set them up for success? Because I think that's a good solution to be discussing.
Yeah, very much so, Kevin. What we note from the article here is it's vitally important to create a culture of managerial excellence, and that organizations really need to be investing in managers and building in those layers of support in a managerial environment. And what is quite frightening to note here is that 50% of employees believe that their managers actually need better training, and at least 84% say that poorly trained managers cause unnecessary stress for them in the workplace. So you can see that negative effect cascading down into the organization, to the point that 84% of employees are noting that poorly trained managers cause unnecessary stress for them in the workplace. And you'll just never get a cohesive work environment when that level of negativity permeates through the business. Organizations can adopt the following 6 or 7 points, Kevin, as strategies to set those middle managers up for success. The first here is obviously invest in training. Yeah, this is about leadership development, about effective communication, conflict resolution, and then the critical thing of team building. And these skills definitely enable managers to lead their teams more effectively and then inspire them to perform at their best. Emphasize effective communication. We talk about communication often in these shows, both when we're in the leadership development space and both when we're in our marketing conversations. But communication is the backbone of successful management, Kevin. So organizations have to encourage more open dialogue. They have to instill active listening and timely feedback between managers and their teams, as this is the only way that they can address those issues early. And in doing so, you get a better chance of building trust in the organization. It's about fostering a positive work environment, which definitely will help create that sense of team belonging and purpose. And coming out of that, you're instilling a supportive work culture, which at the end of the day leads to much higher job satisfaction and output increased performance, because that's what you're wanting. It's about encouraging collaboration among managers. The effective message cascade and goal alignment has to be collaborated and bought into at that particular level. You've got to set in place regular meetings and never overlook the frequency of the one-on-one sessions, not just once a year, quarterly, on a continuous basis. It's about inspiring employee involvement to really set in place the transparency layer and instilling a sense of ownership in the company's vision. It's not just set and owned at the highest level, it's cascaded through the organization, and all staff have the right of input and ownership of the company's vision. So start by soliciting their feedback and empowering middle managers as decision makers in the organization. And then the last point to set them up for success is about reflecting on leadership support, because leaders are responsible for managers' success. So provide the necessary resources, the necessary support and mentorship to managers. This can help them lead with confidence and competence. And lovely ending statement for this point is, when managers thrive, their teams thrive, Kevin.
As I'm listening to all these areas that middle management, how to set them up for success. One of the key things that stand out for me is when people don't have solution, when they don't have an option, they don't know what to do, they simply just don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And even at senior level and HOD level, at Manco level, sometimes people are in positions that they simply don't know what to do. Right. That's why, I just think of why you and I are in business and why we do business with large corporate is because there's an absolute necessity to help carve out and create an understanding of how do you take this strategy, how do you take this information and literally unpackage it to that degree so that when it gets to middle management, that they know what to do and how to do it. And I think that, because if you look at, the expectation of how to set them up for success, it's so important to be able to do that. But yet you find that senior management or higher, they simply don't know how to communicate effectively or communicate it in terms that actually empower their own middle managers to take it out there and run with it. They simply don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and Kevin, that hiatus moment in organizations is so dangerous. It really is. Firstly, it allows the competitors to go screaming by you. When you're in a stagnant hiatus organization, competitors definitely are active and eating you for breakfast and marching by you. So that's why it's so important for this continuous learning and implementation of leadership leadership learning all the way, because the middle managers are stuck there knowing what's happening down the ranks of the organization. They actually, in many instances, have the opportunity to bring that insight to change that hiatus moment, because they're in essence more effective than leaders in organizational understanding. They may not be leaders, but they have a much deeper organizational understanding because they're on the ground in the midst of where it all happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, moving to the final point, how can organizations measure the impact of middle management? That's a big one.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, that, Kevin. And to this particular point, the article notes that creating a supportive managerial environment is only half the battle. Maintaining it is equally critical, and I quite like that. So a number of key initiatives can be implemented to ensure this consistency of efforts, because in fact, this talks lovely to the point of hiatus we mentioned, is that when you've got half your battle won, you can't be in that stagnant, idle position. You have to continue to ensure that you are consistently moving effort and moving forward in all your efforts. So measuring middle management progress enables companies to optimize and properly allocate resources where needed to improve employee engagement and satisfaction in the organization. It's about tracking progress, because this also helps communicate high-level strategic goals. It fosters that positive, innovative work culture, and it helps organization make informed decisions about leadership and management practice. Leaders should elevate middle managers based on their team's performances. High-performing middle managers consistently lead teams to meet or exceed performance targets, such as productivity, project completion rates, and overall team management. And that goes back to the point that I'm making. Whilst they may not be effective leaders, they really are the minutiae of, in the minutiae of the business, and really are the guys who get to understand what the drivers of that performance is. Yeah. One of the most important metrics there is employee satisfaction, Kevin, and the middle managers significantly influence workplace attitude. To this extent, the article referenced a study that noted that 70% of employees said managers and bosses affect their motivation and morale. So when you've got more than 2/3 of the organization daily being affected by managers and bosses affecting their motivation and morale, you've got to make sure that employee satisfaction is in place, and you've got to help the middle managers deliver that effectively. Employee engagement is really something we need to have a good look at in a bit more detail, because the feedback mechanisms also provide insights into how well the managers are leading their teams, and how they're creating this positive work environment. And a key metric is happy employees, engaged employees are obviously more likely to stay with the organization longer than those who aren't. Middle managers are also impact employee retention, or coming out of the previous point here, very much so. And by identifying individual team members' career goals and providing the appropriate growth and development opportunities within the organization, they are the catalyst to helping those employees stay within the business. Middle managers hold a critical role as communicators of the company objectives and messages, as I mentioned earlier, and it's about ensuring that the frontline staff comprehend upper management strategic vision, enabling them how to see to actually deliver against that. And leaders can measure the effectiveness in this capacity by assessing the efficiency of the information flow within the organization hierarchy, Kevin. And here's an important line here. Proficient middle managers reduce misunderstandings, they amplify productivity, they foster innovation, and obviously all of this creates ideas that are cultivated and translated into actionable strategies for the business. So really important final statements in that particular point.
Yeah, Craig, and I mean, it's such a strong sentiment to end on as well, because
Yes.
if they're not actionable strategies, then you really just have a bunch of people waiting for you to just be instructed when you're ready to instruct them, And I always make the reference that we don't need any more well-paid instruction takers. We need well-paid people who critically think, and are able to take an actionable strategy and implement, right? So it's a very important point.
Absolutely, because that's the fostering innovation aspect, that's the creative ideas aspect, and when all of those come together, and as it notes, when they are cultivated and translated into actionable strategies, we're definitely going to see a growth in performance and moving forward.
Absolutely. So a lovely conversation, Craig. So what is the heading of this conversation today?
So the title from the article is, let me just get here, is "Don't neglect your middle managers. Here's why they are key to your company's success."
Fantastic. And just a quote to support that today from an author, Henry Mintzberg, at least Henry Mintzberg said, "Management is above all, middle management is above all a practice where art, science, and craft meet."
Yes,
and
I like that.
That's such a significant kind of approach to kind of think it is a science, there's an art to it, there's a craft, it's honing the skill of managing. And
I love that, Kevin, because it talks exactly to that last sentence we spoke about. It's about, reducing the misunderstandings, amplifying the productivity, fostering the innovation, and then when the creative ideas are cultivated, that translates into actionable strategies.
Absolutely, I love it. Guys, please remember to like and share. Tune into Lunchtime Shows every Wednesday and Thursday for more from myself and Craig. Have a fantastic week. Craig, thanks for today, and I will chat to you next week.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Have a good week in between. Thanks, Kevin.